Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's Daily Video Devo. Renee here. Today I am in the beautifully decorated lobby of our brand new children's building. Look at these gorgeous trees and this snowman. Snowmen in Santa Cruz are just about as mythical, I think, as unicorns. I think a lot of kids who grow up here, they have no idea what snowmen actually are, but they know they have something to do with Christmas. Anyway, there he is here in the lobby. But the Christmas trees are beautiful. I thought it would be a great setting to talk about the real meaning of Christmas. You know, one of the things I loved about the Christmas concert this past weekend is it was about how the light has come into darkness. And maybe today you feel like you look at the headlines or you look at some personal tragedy in your own life and things are dark. How do you overcome those feelings when the whole world is talking about joy to the world, right? Well, I think you'll relate to this true story about the great American poet Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. He was already a legend by the time he was 24 years old. He taught at Harvard University. He had honorary doctorates from Oxford, from Cambridge. He was known as the poet laureate to the entire nation. But then tragedy struck. His wife died suddenly of cancer. It took him 7 long years to remarry. And then his second wife, after they had some children together, was lighting some candles around Christmas time. Her clothes actually caught fire and she burned to death. Very tragic incident. And then the Civil War broke out, which completely broke Longfellow's faith. He just thought, how can God be allowing this? It was, to this day, the most violent, the bloodiest war that America has ever been involved with, including Henry Wadsworth Longfellow's own son, Charles. When he was 19 years old, he was on the front fighting for the North, and he came back home severely injured. So he was widowed twice. His own son had severe injuries from the war. The entire nation seemed to be in the grip of violence, and Longfellow felt his Christian faith slipping away from him rapidly. And so on Christmas Day, December 25th, 1863, he sat down and wrote a poem. And it began as a poem where he talked about how it was so hard for him to have faith. I heard the bells on Christmas Day, their old familiar carols play. Wild and sweet the words repeat of peace on earth, goodwill toward men. But in despair I bowed my head. There's no peace on earth, I said, for hate is strong and mocks the song of peace on earth, goodwill toward men. And maybe you can relate. You think of how the angels sang in Luke chapter 2, verse 24, peace on earth, goodwill toward men. And you think, well, you know, maybe that was great 2,000 years ago, and maybe I once felt that way, but right now I look at the violence in the world, I look at tragedy in my own life, I look at the darkness around me, the sickness, and I just think, I don't feel like there's peace on earth, goodwill toward men. And there isn't. What do you do when you feel like that? Well, I'm so glad that Longfellow kept on writing, because next he wrote, then pealed the bells more loud and deep. God is not dead, nor doth he sleep. The wrong shall fail, the right prevail, with peace on earth, goodwill toward men. In other words, he didn't just look back at Christmas 2,000 years ago. He didn't just look at the present at Christmas today. He looked ahead to what the world will one day be. It's sort of like the Christmas Carol. He didn't just look at Christmas past or Christmas present. He looked at Christmas future. In this case, he looked at scenes like the one described in Revelation 21, verses 4 and 5, where it says, for he will wipe every tear from their eyes, and there will be no more death, no more mourning, no more crying, no more pain, for the old order of things has passed away. And he says, behold, I am making all things new. And so if you can relate to Longfellow and you feel like, how can I sing about peace on earth, goodwill toward men in a year like this? You got to remember not just to look to Christmas past and Christmas present, but also to Christmas future. The wrong shall fail, the right will prevail. May you meditate on that as you go through your Christmas prep today. God bless.